Hi, this is Sara Oehler here with Softflex Company, and today we're going to talk about making these sweet little pumpkins, which I'm going to show you how to hang from an earring wire, but you can also use them as a lovely pendant if you want, and I'll post some pictures on our blog showing how they can be used in that way as well. So to get started, I have set up my WigJig Olympus light. If you're familiar with WigJigs, you know they're wonderful. They are clear acrylic, the same type of material that they make airplane windows out of. Very thick, very strong. They have a bunch of holes, and then there are all these metal pegs that you can either buy or some of them come with it. And you stick the metal pegs into the jig to make different patterns. Today I'm using a basic metal peg that would come with the jig normally, and then I'm actually using what's called a spiral maker. I'm not using it to make a spiral today, just to make the round shape of the pumpkin, but it's the perfect size, so it worked out well. I'm going to use our 18 gauge Softflex craft wire. I'm using the non-tarnish silver plated. So this is actually a copper-based wire. It has a silver plating, and then it has a polyurethane coating over the top of that to ensure that it doesn't tarnish. It also makes it hypoallergenic, which is really nice. So I'm just going to pull some wire free. Anytime I'm using wire, I like to start off by using the nylon jaw pliers, and that just helps get any kinks or grooves out of the wire, straighten it all out. And then the other thing I really like to do is I take the flush side of my cutter and I trim the very end so that I know I'm starting with a nice flat, straight, flush cut. And to get started with the jig, you always make your first loop yourself. So I go about halfway down my round nose plier. I know, sort of the perfect position on my plier. You can find step jaw pliers that will tell you exactly what size loop you need to make to match the size of the peg, but I just kind of know where to go on my pliers. I'm going to put that ring on the metal peg, and then anytime you use the jig, you want to just guide the wire and actually spin the jig and let the jig do the work for you. You don't have to pull on it really hard. I'm going to go on the opposite side of this little metal peg, and then I'm going to spin back around to make that final loop. And then I'm just going to push this down so it's a nice solid shape. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and pop off my peg, probably on both sides here, and take the wire off of the jig. And we can go ahead and set that WigJig aside now. WigJigs are great for making all sorts of things like jewelry components, connectors, clasps, ear wires, but I also like to make shapes like this, like a pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead and take my cutters, again using my flush side where it's going to connect, and clip that off of the wire. I can go ahead and set my spool aside. You'll see I did that right on the spool of wire. That's a great way to save wire, because then you're using exactly what you need rather than cutting a piece of wire and having excess wire left over. Okay, so I'm going to use my chain nose pliers so that I can finish this loop, make that look nice. And this was my shape. Now, in order to get this cute little pumpkin shape, I'm just going to do a little squishing here, so that it's more of an oval and less round. You can see it didn't take much to make that change. I'm not going to worry too much about work hardening this. Normally I would if it was just going to stay just like this, but because we're adding the beads, it really will strengthen that shape and ensure that it's not going to come out of this shape once you're done making the final piece. Okay, so setting these guys aside, I have cut 20 inches of 24 gauge craft wire. It's the same kind of Softflex craft wire that I used before. It's just a thinner gauge. When you talk about gauges, the larger the number, the thinner the wire. So 24 is going to be a lot thinner than the 18 that I used originally to make the pumpkin shape. And right now I'm just running those nylon jaw pliers over the wire to straighten it all out and make it look nice. I'm going to do just a quick little bend in my wire like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach it to my pumpkin. And we're starting on the side. We're actually building these strands of beads vertically. Normally when I've seen projects like this, they've been things like leaves or ovals, and they're built horizontally. So this is a little different, but you know, the edges in the pumpkin always run vertically, so it made a lot of sense to me to use that direction. Okay, so to get started, I am going to string 5 of these seed beads. Let me just dump some out to make it easier and move some of these tools out of my way as well. I'm going to string 5 of these little seed beads. These are size 11s, and they are just a nice orange color, nice pumpkin orange color. And I'm going to push this down. I want it to be right along the edge because this is my first row of seed beads. You just want to get that other wire sort of out of the way. And then all I'm going to do is hold it in place, and I'm going to wrap the long length of my wire. Well, actually, it might be easier just to pull it like this around the base. And I'm going to go around once and a half times. So those ones were sort of on the back side of the pumpkin. This next row is going to be sort of on the front side of the pumpkin. And as with anything, starting out is always the most difficult part, but once you get going, it gets a lot easier. So for the next row, I think it's about 7 beads, maybe 9. So let's just test it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we have too many, we can always slide some off here. And yep, looks like 9 will probably be pretty good. Let's do 8. And you can eye it out. There's no perfect formula. No, actually 9 does look right. Okay, so I'm going to fold my wire again around the base, that 18 gauge pumpkin base, and it wraps around one whole time and then a half, and then I'm putting beads back on, but I'm on the other side. So I'm on the same side that I strung the first 5 beads on. You're going to continue down this pattern, adding beads over and over and over and over until you get to this point where you have all of your beads added to the most part. I have 1 row left to do, so I'm going to string 5 beads at the end here, so it's similar to the other side. 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to pop those on there, and then I just have to anchor that last row in place. And again, I'm just going to wrap once or twice around so that it's on there nice and snug. And then you can just cut off your excess wire. So I'm going to use the cutters here to snip. And then I always like to make sure that little tail is tucked in so it doesn't nab anything later on. And then you've got your beaded pumpkin. To finish this off, I made a little coil, which is sort of like the vine that the pumpkin comes off of. So I have 4 inches, and this is a 28 gauge croft wire, and I'm using a beautiful green color. And to do this, obviously vines are not going to look perfect, so we are going to use just a pair of round nose pliers, and I'm just going to curl this wire up the plier. Creating that beautiful vine shape. And you can use a coiling device if you want. I find this is kind of nice because I can curl in the end a little bit tighter, and then it just looks, it doesn't look perfectly uniform. You know, it's a varies in shape and size, which is basically more realistic, but also just a little bit more handmade looking. Okay, so I'm going to coil my other end the same way around this round nose plier. I want to leave a little bit of wire in the center. That's where I'm going to do my wraparound. But you don't have to leave a lot. And then I'm just going to curl in this end so it's a little bit tighter. And we'll pull those out once we get it wrapped around. So now all I'm going to do is, let's see, wrap this. I'm trying to decide what side I want it on. I think this side. I'm going to wrap this around the 2 loops at the top, and then I'm just going to crisscross that green wire and fold it over. And then these little curly cues can come down, and to bring that out just a little bit more, I'll take my chain nose plier and just pull a little bit so that those vines can grow down that pumpkin. And last but not least, if you want to use this as an earring, I'm just going to open up my chain nose pliers and slide this guy on. I might have to go this way instead. And boy, this is not want to go on here. Let me open it up just a little bit wider. See if that does the trick. Got a ball on the end of here that just doesn't want to fit through. There we go. And then I can just close that back up. So I have got a cute little pair of pumpkin earrings. Now you can definitely do the same thing. Like I said, you can make these as a pendant and then hang the pendant from a long chain or a long piece of soft flex wire. And it has a nice weight to it, so it's going to feel really nice at the bottom as a pendant. You could even add a few charms, like these tiara cast charms that I have here with the skulls or something Halloweenish. Or if you're going to wear it more for Thanksgiving, you could add leaves or things that are going to make it feel a little bit more like fall. So I encourage you to make it your own. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today, looking at these wonderful fall pumpkin earrings. And if you would like to learn more about any of the products that I used today, you're always welcome to visit our website, which is www.softflexcompany.com. And if you liked this video and want to see more videos from us, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel or like our Facebook page. We post a video just about every week in both places. So that's a good way to keep up with us and see what new videos we're offering. Have a great day.